On April 30th, 2026, Rhode Island Senator Sheldon Whitehouse read this letter that I'm about to share onto the congressional record on behalf of himself and Senator Reed. The full format of it looks like this. I am going to break it into smaller pieces because the print is so difficult to keep up with in this original format, but just so you know what it looks like. Statement from medical professionals. From Mr. Whitehouse speaking. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to have printed into the record the following statement from medical professionals and their names into the record on behalf of myself and Senator Reed. There being no objection, the material was ordered to be printed in the record as follows. And he reads, medical concerns about President Donald J. Trump and his fitness for office. The following is not a political statement. It is a medical one, made by individuals holding both conservative and liberal ideologies, identifying as both Republicans and Democrats from different backgrounds, races, ethnicities, and religions. We are a group of neurologists, forensic psychiatrists, general psychiatrists, and other physicians, along with other mental health professionals experienced in the diagnosis of cognitive disorders and in evaluating dangerousness to self and others. Among us are professionals whom the courts and criminal justice system regularly turn to for our expert opinion on these matters. We are also consulted by governments in matters related to national security and the psychological profiles of world leaders. Prior to the presidential election in the fall of 2024, a statement assessing Donald J. Trump's mental fitness for the presidency was issued. At that time, serious signs of cognitive decline were identified, and in our expert opinion, these signs warranted disqualification from office. It is our professional opinion, based on previous and ongoing assessments, that Donald Trump's mental state since our 2024 statement has deteriorated even further. In keeping with our professional ethics, and for those of us who are physicians, with the Declaration of Geneva, the successor to the Hippocratic Oath that binds us to the humanitarian principles of medicine since the Nuremberg trials, we are compelled to warn of a president of the United States who is increasingly a danger to the public. We do not take our statement and the responsibility that comes with making it lightly. The president was not examined face to face, and he is not a patient of any member of our group. Rendering a formal diagnosis in this case is not our role. We have closely followed his behavior and his statements over the past year. Objectively observable signs of serious medical concern include marked deterioration in cognitive functioning evidenced by disorganized and tangential speech, rambling digressions, factual confusions, unexplained sudden changes of course in strategic matters, both national and international, episodes of apparent somnolence during critical public proceedings. Grandiose and delusional beliefs, including assertions of infallibility, imagery of himself as Pope, suggestive of a divine mission, being a mythical warrior hero, depicting himself as a combat pilot dropping feces on civilians, and claims that his decision-making authority is unlimited, with no need to consider domestic and international laws and constrained only by his, quote, own morality, end quote. Severely impaired judgment and impulse control reflected in reckless threats of violence, advocacy of lethal force against civilians, encouragement of extrajudicial actions by armed supporters, repeated threats and often actions judicial, prosecutorial, police, military, and by invoking emergency powers against political opponents and others who disagree with them. Significant loss of self-control, disinhibition, and getting stuck on the same thoughts or actions, unable to let go or move on, perseveration, including seemingly compulsive manic-like late-night communications, e.g., 150 social media posts in one night, fixation on perceived enemies, persecutory ideas, and prolonged disproportionate attacks on specific individuals and institutions. Escalating violence that threatens national and global stability, As Commander-in-Chief of our military, more than 5,000 nuclear warheads in intercontinental missile silos on submarines and in bombers around the world are ready for launch solely upon his order, and now no one has the authority to countermand his order. On August 7, 1974, as President Richard Nixon's impeachment loomed, White House Chief of Staff General Alexander Haig was so alarmed by Nixon's wandering the halls of the White House at night, sleepless, distraught, and heavily intoxicated, talking out loud to portraits of past presidents on the walls, that he alerted Defense Secretary James Schlesinger. Equally alarmed, Schlesinger directed Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General George S. Brown, that any military orders from Nixon, especially nuclear ones, first be cleared through him or Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. It has been reported that the nuclear football that contains the codes for a nuclear launch was then quietly removed from Nixon's control. The public and those with the power to address such potentially catastrophic conditions must ask themselves if they, and we, are confident that officials such as Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and Secretary of State Marco Rubio would do the same. It is our professional opinion that the behaviors of Donald Trump, tragically, are neither momentary lapses nor political theater. It is our professional opinion that they reflect a rapidly worsening, reality untethered, increasingly dangerous decline. If we were called upon under the 25th Amendment to judge the President's ability to discharge the duties of his office, we would have to conclude that he lacks the capacity to do so. For the reasons cited above, emphasizing that he presents a clear and present danger to our country and the world, it is our expert opinion that Donald J. Trump is mentally unfit to be the President of the United States, and that steps to remove him from office must be undertaken with the greatest urgency, with vital responsibilities on the shoulders of those in positions of leadership. And that is over on that right-hand column. From that point forward and on to the next page are the providers, the professionals who signed on to this statement. You need to call Congress and ask them why they haven't done anything about this. They need to address this publicly, immediately. And the final page, that left-hand column, is the remainder of the people who signed on to this statement. And once again, it's available from here in this format, or I think it maybe has just regular Word document type text if you prefer. Thanks.